to Along the Rock, our visual podcast in which we pay homage to the people of the Sauk Valley and the river that runs through that valley. My guest today is Major Chuck Yockey. He's with the Salvation Army of Sterling Rock Falls, and thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Before we started recording here, we just found out that you were not long for this career. Tell us about that. Well, tell me about what you've gone through over those 27 years.
This is our 8th assignment in 27 years, and I had some health issues 3 years ago. We were stationed in Wichita, Kansas, and God knows what he's doing, and he gave me some cancer that I had to go through, but it was a very busy appointment, and so this slowed me down. And they moved me here, and they have a wonderful oncology department here at CGH, and so they got me all fixed up, and so we now are set to retire on August 1 of 2025, and we're going to Kansas to be with family.
And as is usually the case, your wife is a ranked member of the Army
Exactly.
as well.
My wife and I have the same education. We have the same rank. The only difference in the two is I have the power of attorney in this appointment. I can sign the checks.
Okay.
So.
Again, Major Chuck Yockey of the Sterling Rock Falls Salvation Army. And tell me about the Army in general. It's always been a very interesting organization to me because they help on so many different fronts.
Most people do not know, and shame on us, that the Salvation Army is a church first. William Booth founded the Salvation Army along with his wife, Catherine, in 1865 on the East End of London.
Wow.
Booth was a traveling Methodist preacher, and he would travel to different areas, and he would see the need of men, primarily, who were suffering from alcoholism and gambling. They were unemployed. They were just doing without, and his heart went out to those men. So he decided to do something different, and he formed what was called the Christian Mission.
Okay.
And what was happening is he would get these men cleaned up, send them back to the mainstream church, which at that time was the Catholic Church, and they didn't want them. They went back to Booth and said, the church doesn't want us. What do we do now? So the Salvation Army was born, and Booth was the first general of the Salvation Army. He and his sons began the work in 1865, and Booth coined a phrase called the cab horse charter. And what that simply means is a cab horse had a job, had food to eat, and had a place to sleep. Why would a man be any less than a horse? And so come the next phrase, soup, soap, and salvation, meaning that you cannot tell a guy who's hungry, Jesus loves you, if he's hungry. He doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
He wants to hear how
it won't go through.
Exactly. And the same goes for homeless. If he doesn't have a job or a home, he doesn't want to hear that God loves you. So once you address the physical needs of the man, the spiritual needs come naturally. And so that's what founded us as the Salvation Army. Today in East London, the Salvation Army is very much high church, unlike in the United States. We have morphed ourselves into a massive social service agency. People come to us, they know the bell ringing at Christmas time, they know the food pantry, they know the thrift stores, but they do not know that we're a church. And that's our fault. We haven't sold it that way. And hopefully we're getting better at that, but we'll see.
On the other hand, maybe without emphasizing the church aspect of it, you may be able to attract a wider range of people.
It very well could be. We have a very busy food pantry here in Sterling and Rock Falls. And my caseworker, Trevor, he is not afraid to talk about Jesus. And people are very open to that once we meet that physical need. But we don't push it on them. If they don't want to hear it, we don't want to talk about it. But more often than not, it seems to get the job done.
Okay. You mentioned the kettle campaign. That, of course, everybody knows about.
Yep.
And you do it every year. And some people might say, well, I wish they'd stop bugging me at Walmart. But Walmart's a big backer of you folks.
That's right.
And it's something that's, let's face it, very important because it brings in funding.
Right.
Okay. Tell us how the kettle campaign got started and why it's so important.
It started in San Francisco, and what it was just a giant red pot, and people would walk by and just throw money into that pot. And then it's transformed itself into what we have today. And you mentioned Walmart. Again, Walmart is one of our number one partners in the United States. But we have here in the Sterling Rock Falls area 7 locations that you can put money. Walmart Farm and Fleet, Kroger, Save-A-Lot, Walgreens, the mall, Hobby Lobby. And we have bell ringers at all those locations as long as I can get enough people. If I don't have people, I can't put them out there. But it will raise this year $60,000 towards our annual budget of about $285,000. So it's very critical. But that's the Salvation Army's #1 fundraiser worldwide. Well, I shouldn't say worldwide, but statewide, because I know some friends in Abu Dhabi right now who don't do a kettle campaign. But across the United States, it's our first and foremost fundraiser. That's where we're most out front of people.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a moment. So are you recruiting bell ringers right now?
I am. I have a couple of ads out on Facebook. I got a giant 4x6 poster right on the front door of the Salvation Army that says "Now hiring." We are paying $14 an hour for paid bell ringers. I would prefer free volunteer staff, but that's not always the case. So we pay $14 an hour, and it seems to get the job done. So.
Sure. And with the weather the way it's been, it should be a little easier at least to recruit before the weather turns.
I would hope so. This morning on my Facebook memory, it snowed 2 years ago today. And I thought, oh my goodness, because that year was a horrible year for weather. The week before Christmas killed everything. It was so cold. Last year was a good year for weather. Now we hope to repeat that, because if it's bad weather, people don't want to get out. So, and nor do people want to be out there to stand in the cold and the rain and the wind and the snow asking for money.
This is kind of a silly question, but where does the band come in, the music from the Salvation?
The Salvation Army has been brass banding forever. And if I had local musicians, I would have them out at the kettle, but I do not. But in the larger cities, you'll see staff bands all over playing at the kettle, playing Christmas carols. It's just been a staple in the Salvation Army. My children grew up playing brass instruments because that's what you do.
So you have, go ahead.
It just sets the tone for Christmas when you hear a horn playing clear across the parking lot at Walmart. You get out of the car, you hear the noise. Oh, Salvation Army band. And you see them on television or in movies. So
you said you'd like to have all volunteers. What is the percentage, if there's an average, of paid versus volunteer?
A volunteer will ring, on average, 3 times the amount of money that a paid staff will bring in. That's a significant difference. Right now, when we pay, 87% of every dollar goes direct service. So 13%, that includes bell ringing, goes to staff and for administration costs. So the less you have to pay, the more you get, and the further the dollar goes when it's free money. A person standing on a kettle playing a horn 3 times the amount of a bell ringer. If you have a radio or if you're singing, you'll do double. People just like to see a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of energy from the bell ringer who's happy to be there. It just puts people in the spirit. And a light drifting snow just makes the mood better.
You bet. Late Christmas. Yeah, you've got to. So I guess you're looking for some very outgoing people when it comes to it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we like people to smile. You greet people. If you could open a door, do that. Wish them Merry Christmas. We in the Salvation Army still say Merry Christmas. We don't have to say Happy Holidays. So people like to hear that. Not everybody, you'll get some bah humbugs once in a while, but that's the nature of the business.
That's Ebenezer Scrooge coming back.
That's right.
So how long does the campaign last?
We will begin this Friday at 10 a.m. and we'll conclude at 6 p.m. on Christmas Eve. Now, this year and last year as well, we did not ring on Mondays. When I did the math, if I paid bell ringers 6 days a week, come Saturday, they're on overtime. And Mondays seem to be the least profitable day of all, so we did not ring last year on Mondays. Mm-hmm. So come Saturday, it was just a 40-hour week for the paid staff. We made $15,000 more money last year by ringing 5 days a week and no overtime than 6 the year before. So we're going to do that again this year.
Good business decision. Salvation Army has, of course, been with us seemingly forever. It's another one of those institutions. Are there some things that you feel need, I don't want to say updating necessarily, but things that maybe you'd like to see changed to keep up with the changing economy, the changing community?
One of the things that the Salvation Army is doing is they're trying to stay on the cutting edge of technology. In some of the larger cities, they have what they call bump cards. where you just take your phone and you can bump it, and it'll automatically, through technology, make a donation of your choice.
Sure.
Some of those do not work very well in cold weather. So a few years ago, they came out with a sliding card on the pole. That didn't work very well when it was wet. But they are QR codes on our signs, and a person can walk by and capture that QR code on their smartphone, and it'll take you straight to a website, and you can make a donation. That's one of the biggest things that they're doing. Social media is very big in doing the same thing. We can blast a lot of people at the same time with that same QR code, and they can just capture it right from the phone and make a donation that way.
Sure.
And then there's also the mail appeal, the old-fashioned way, where they just send it in the mail, and with a thank you envelope, and when they see an envelope, they put a check in and send it back, and it's just kind of a cycle that works well that way. But cash is always king, too. So.
Yeah, that's just as easy, especially if you've just come out of the store and
That's right.
you still have your change in your hand.
And people say, it's only a handful of change. You know how much change adds up? In a hurry. So we'll
And of course, there's stories about those gold Kruger ends, too.
I'm still waiting for one here in Sterling Rock
Yeah.
Falls. I've received one in 27 years. Better than none, but I'm waiting for one here. Waukegan's already received two, and it's not even Christmas time yet. So,
Wow.
yeah, I read that on the internet. 2 in Waukegan already.
Okay. There's a chance.
There is a chance. Maybe someone will hear this.
There's a prayer.
That's right.
Well, I want to help you get some people in your stable, if you will. So tell us how they contact you or someone else is doing recruiting as well. And go from there.
www.registertoring.com will take you to the Salvation Army Volunteer website. You can enter the zip code of your area, 66801 here, and it will take you to all of our locations, dates, times. Once you select your date and pick your location, you'll have to fill out a registration page if you've not already registered. And you'll get an email confirming that. And then you go in and you just sign up. And once you hit enter, I'll get an email that says, hey, Joe just signed up for a shift at Walmart. And you'll get one that says, thank you for volunteering. That's the best way. It just happens automatically. It's worked well over the several years that they've been in place.
For those who are not at all familiar with your Sterling Rock Falls location, where are you?
We're at 409 Avenue F, which is right over here, a few blocks from here. It's a small location, but it's been there for a long time. It's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood across the street from a small school. But we're open 5 days a week, and we have church on Sunday morning, so you're always welcome to come.
Okay. And Dixon, you said, is in a little bit different location.
Yes, Dixon is considered a service extension area. So you will notice the red kettles are out around the Dixon area. And that money will be sent to us to provide financial assistance for the residents of Lee County. If you have a rent need or utility need, you can come to us and we'll take care of it through those funds. Other than that, we don't have much to do in the Lee County area, but we're trying to get more involved over there. We were over there last year at a Halloween event, and we had our emergency vehicle over there passing out coffee and cocoa. So we're getting a bigger presence in Lee County because I think the time will come where it'll fall under the umbrella of Sterling and Rock Falls. And one person will be in charge of all that at that point.
And when the job gets twice as hard, you'll be retired.
You know,
that's not fair.
It's not fair, but you know what? It is what it is. You know, I'm staying positive. I'm staying engaged because I work with people. When you get to this close to retirement, they're just going to shut down and go into retirement mode. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to finish strong because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So,
all right. We've been talking, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Major Charles Yockey, Chuck Yockey,
right,
from the Sterling Rock Falls Salvation Army, and it's that time of year. You may have already, seen a few kettles here and there where there's nobody standing next to them, or maybe they are. I don't know.
Right.
But you got to put the kettles out first.
Right.
So just think about that. Think about it before you make up your mind as to whether you want to put some of that extra Christmas money in there. And I was going to ask you one other thing, and now I forgot what it is. I'll think of it. Well, I guess I won't. Oh, do you get United Way funding?
We do. We have a good relationship with United Way here in Whiteside County. We have a limited relationship in the Lee County United Way, but that's going to get larger. We get what we call a mini grant from them for a little bit of the work that we do. Mm-hmm. But I apply next year, plan on filling out a complete application for United Way funding because we're going to be more present over there at that point. But yep, Unitedway's our friends.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yep.
And you have been watching and listening to our Along the Rock, and we hope you can join us next time.